Yeah. So let me give you a summary of what we have done till now. So we started working with the manual testing part. We started writing the test case details and understood the SDLC model, software development lifecycle, then fundamental of testing process. Those are all two important things which you should know on every testing level. Unit testing, then it goes to the component, then integration, system testing, and sometimes the product owner will be expecting the acceptance testing also to understand about the application. At the time we'll enter into the acceptance testing. For the framework what we are designing over here, the Bdd framework is basically for acceptance testing only, doing an automation with the acceptance testing document. User stories will be building, and with that we will be designing the framework. That's the final framework which we have designed. So after understanding the testing concept, we concentrate on Java programming. For Java programming, we started from the data types, architecture, data types, then static method, non-static method, and then just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry, Shankar. So for Java programming, we started with, shall we start?
Yes.
Yeah, for Java programming, we started with the architecture. Then we started discussing about data types. In that, I explained about static and non-static, difference between static and non-static, and we discussed about class. Every class is a type, how to pass a class as a parameter. Basically, every class is like a data type. String is a data type. Similarly, your class, user-defined data type, we discussed. Similarly, lots of user-defined data type present in the Selenium. That's what we use: Chrome driver, Firefox driver, and all. So after completing the classes and object, we started working with Selenium. Parallelly, we work on the OOPS concept, inheritance, method overriding concept, abstract class, and then interface concept. So abstract and interface is the concept of abstraction, which will be used to provide the set of rules in the programming. So based on that only, you can see Selenium code is designed. In Selenium code, whenever you get time, you can go through the official code itself. It's open source code only. Selenium GitHub, if you search, you will be getting the code. For example, we create a Chrome driver object and we store it in the parent of Chrome driver. You see lots of parent under Java, GitHub under Java source. The package name for Selenium Chrome driver will be org.openq.selenium under that Chrome. And you can see Chrome driver. This is the class which we are using. This class will, while creating an object for this class, first it will allocate memory for parent. So this is one of the parent. Chrome driver. Coming from Java part, .NET Python is also supported. Here I'm choosing Java here. Now here, if you notice it, this is a parent of Chrome driver. Chromium driver is one of the parent. For Chromium driver, one more parent is there, which is nothing but WebDriver. WebDriver will have lots of parent basically, if you notice it. These are all remote WebDriver is having a parent like WebDriver, JavaScript executor, take screenshot. So these are all different parent. All these are interface. Implements means it's an interface. This will have standard methods for working with the WebDriver. Minimum, these methods should be there for cross-browser testing. That's why we do WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver. New Chrome driver can be stored in any of the parent. So while running the JavaScript commands or while taking the screenshot and all, we try to store that new Chrome driver into the JavaScript executor or in take screenshot, because that is also a parent which can accept new Chrome driver, new Firefox driver. That's the logic here. And when you get time, you can go through this. And if a class is having a constructor, we have to call the constructor with parameter, without parameter. If you create explicit constructor, you have to call that method overloading concept, constructor overloading concept, method overriding. So these are the OOPS concept we discussed. Along with that, we discussed about the try catch block. That's basically a concept of inheritance only, where we'll catch all the exception. Either it can be array index out of bound exception, or it can be a Selenium exceptions like no such element exception. Whatever the exception, there is a parent class. Parent class is exception. We try to catch that in the parent class, and we'll handle the exception. After catching the exception, we'll try to log it in the report, or we'll try to add some external logs. If you want to add, you can add the logs, and once that is done, you can throw that error. Okay, to make sure it is just responded to the user, you can throw the error, or you can add it in the report based on the error. That also we have done it in the this hybrid framework, catching the exception and doing the operation. Okay, and for Excel and all, we have to close the Excel. For that, we use finally block, which runs always. So try catch this, whatever we have discussed in the session, the core Java part, that is going to be the basement for working with Selenium. With that, you can easily work with Selenium. When it comes to Selenium, the basic inspect operation, click type, selecting from the drop down, and then we started working with the multiple tabs or windows, then alert frame. These are all major concepts available in Selenium. Apart from that, how to work with dynamic pages. At the time, we'll be using mouse or activity, keyboard activity, and JavaScript execution in between. How to get the text, getting the attribute, getting CSS property detail. Those things and all we have discussed from the Selenium point of view. And with that only, you will be doing the operation. Any logics, if you want to write, you can write with find elements also. Implicit synchronization, implicit, explicit, fluent wait. I'll tell you before winding up today. Today will be the final day. So this are the details we have discussed earlier. Okay. And let me know if you have any doubts with these topics. With this, you for sure you will be able to, if you are able to do the assignment task, for sure you will be able to get into the project and work at the module level. Then we designed a framework from the scratch. First, we created the hybrid framework, basically a test method, test ng, test method, unit test framework we use, and created the test method. Unit test framework. We use test engine and understand creating the test method, and everything we dumped in the test method. Then we understood browser configuration is required for all the test methods. So we created before method, after method, and we pushed that into the base class over here. Okay, and then in base class, we try to launch the browser, close the browser, lots of configuration we were adding, keep on adding it. After that, we connected with the data provider for doing a data driven activity. Once data driven activity is done, we added page object model. Once the page object model is done with the static method, we converted the page object model to support through the non-static. Okay, so through the constructor. Now these are the things we did it, and then in the parent class we added the configuration for browsers using the XML document. In the XML, we will give the name value pair. Based on that, the argument will be passed. And if the argument is not passed, optional value will be taken. This will be controlled by test.ng XML. And extend report we added. First thing, we have to initialize the report. At the end, after completing all, we have to flush the report. In between that, we have to create the test method, and we have to log whether it is passed or failed. These are the things. And going further, we can keep on extending till what level, in the sense using the keywords. Every page object classes will try to use the WebDriver keywords. We will try to create the keywords with the concept what we learn in Selenium, and we'll start using it. For example, you can see here in login orange portal, sorry, in the login UI test, I wanted to click on LinkedIn. After clicking on LinkedIn, I wanted to go to new tab and do the operation. For switching, after clicking on LinkedIn, this is a page object method. After clicking on LinkedIn, I have to go to the new page. To go to the new page, I can just use already object is created for login page. When you create object for login page, first it will allocate memory for parent, which means it will allocate memory for WebDriver keyword. This variable and all you will be able to access. Now using that object, I can call the method in parent also. That's what I've done. Login dot will give you the method from the parent class as well as the parent class. Okay. So all the methods from the parent class you will be able to access. I directly use the method to switch to a particular window and do the operation. These kind of extensibility you can do. Same page object model, we can use it in the Bdd framework. So this is the first framework we discussed. We added into the GitHub. Then we try to work on the Bdd framework. For Bdd framework, the start point is going to be the feature file. We have to create a feature, step definition. You need to create step definition. You need to create in a different packages. After creating step definition, you have to connect feature file and step definition by using the feature and tool. Lots of Cucumber options we have seen: plugin, dry run, tags, monochrome, publish, all these things. And then we connected with page object. While connecting with page object, we connected with static methods. Then we can use the dependency injection to get the driver detail. For example, in the page object, like in the login step to launch the browser, we tried to segregate that after annotations we used, after hooks, Cucumber hooks, like before and after, which run before the scenario, after the scenario. For that, I created a WebDriver wrapper class where I declared a driver, a non-static variable, and I created a method launch browser, and after hook, which will run always. After running on failure, I'm embedding the screenshot into the report. Okay. So now this is the configuration. Now this configuration should be used by Cucumber classes. Then we have to include that package in the glue, which is done. Now I have browser with OpenEMR, it will run this step. While running this step, I'm launching the browser. Launching the browser using, it's a non-static method. This is a non-static method. To call this method, we have to create an object. When it comes to Bdd framework, you don't have to create the object. Cucumber, the concept what we are using in Java, Cucumber will create the object for us. We can get the object through the constructor. In every step definition classes, you can create your own constructor, and whatever the object detail you require, you pass it. one common object will be created that will be used. Right now, the concept of dependency injection is this is the object. New Chrome driver is the object. That object will be under some other object. That object we will try to use, that is WebDriver wrapper. While creating an object for WebDriver wrapper, it will allocate memory for this driver. Now, this object reference I use and call the driver. And then in that I'll launch the browser, then initialize the page object port. Then we started calling the method. Just configuration is what we have done after understanding the Bdd framework. This is the complete thing which we have done. And in this exact page object model, what we discussed in the hybrid framework, we can use that over here. I'm going to extend the WebDriver keyword and start using the script. Say same thing. Every page level, you will have the locators. That's the every page in application will have to create a class. Every page level, you can keep the locators. That's the main concept of page object model. Is that clear for you? Till this Bdd framework also we have done. We created the report as well. So these are the things we have done till now. Git, from day one, we were from the initial days we were using Git. Let me give you an idea about how to run it in the command line. Okay, Git and Jenkins configuration is pending, which I will be completing it today. Auto IT also we discussed in the last class for doing the Windows automation. Everything is clear for you?
Yes.
Right. For Git and Jenkins, that's basically for CI/CD pipeline. What we will try to do is any framework I can take, either this Orange HRM, which I built it using test engine. Anyhow, whatever the framework, we'll try to trigger using the form.xml only. Let me try to trigger this particular Orange HRM. First, I'll push it to Git. Let me update it to Git. To update to Git, first what we need to do is understand the architecture, which we have done it. I'll yeah, this one we did it. Through Eclipse is what we have configured. I'll tell you how to use command prompt and then keep the GitHub updated. Okay. Now, these are all some already mentioned points. Just added it over here. Windows authentication, upload the file, working with properties file, database, and Git is as actually which I explained you initially. It's a source code management. So Git is a concept, as I told you. Git is a concept. So in Git, in order to work with Git, these are the details which I explained you. Right. So same concept of it, no changes in the concept of Git. The source code management. Now we call it as distributed version control system. The reason is multiple people will be able to create a log at same time. How it is possible? Because every person will have their own local repository. First, you will be updating your local repository. So multiple people can update their local repository at same time. It's possible because it's their own local repository. Once that is done, you will push it to the GitHub. The remote repository, either GitHub or GitLab, wherever it is you want to push, you can push it. Okay. So commit to update the local repository, push it to update the remote repository. This is the architecture. This is where we were doing it completely. Whenever we do a commit, it will ask what are the files you are planning to move. When you do commit, you can mention which files I wanted to move. If I want to move only one file, you can mention that. Just add that one file. Only this file will be in the track. First, you need to add, then you need to do commit. Once the commit is done, you can do a push, which will update to the remote repository. That's the logic over here, general logic of Git. Now, here, let me tell you how to use command prompt. In command prompt, if you wanted to, like a command prompt or Git bash will be there. So these are all GitHub related command prompt. Anyone you can use. Git bash also you can use, not an issue. So right now, let me use command prompt and explain you. Git is hyphen version you try. For getting this version, git space hyphen version.
Yeah, it's a 2.20.
It's showing the version, right? Now, to get this version, first in order to update, basically in order to support, get the Git is a concept. Okay, don't get confused with GitHub. GitHub is one of the portals. Suppose GitHub is down. If Microsoft already bought GitHub, if they want to change the portal name, they can change it. Microsoft Git or anything they want to change, they can change it. Okay, that is GitHub is a widely used repository. That's it. Okay, instead of GitHub, you can go for GitLab. Some company uses gitlab.com. Okay, that's a repository. And then AWS code commit. And then you'll have something called Bitbucket. Jira board is provided, right? So that company provides Bitbucket repository. So anywhere you can create an account. Git is used in a public environment. Mostly Git is used. Okay. Now, what we do basically is we need a repository so that we can create it at the end also. So initially you will be able to work on this level. Local repository, you can keep on update, keep a track in the local repository. That's possible just by having a Windows machine or any operating system. Based on your operating system, try to install Git. To get the Git installation, Git SCM. If you search, you will be getting it. Git source code management. This is the official site for downloading. It's a free and open source. You can also use Git concept and provide some repository. Okay. So if I have the investor, I can create a repository and I can use Git concept because Git is an open source. Okay. Anyone can use this Git concept and build their own environment. Or they can sell that environment, or they can build for the environment what they are providing in the cloud. But Git is an open source. Now it's a distributed version control system, which means multiple people will be able to log at a time. Reason is because it contains local repository, two different repository. One is local, remote. In local, everyone will have their own local repository. In your team, if there are 10 members, each and every member will have their own local repository for each project. Okay. So first you have to deal with the local repository. For that, you have to update the local repository. For that, first thing you have to create local repository. Let me do one thing. I will try to I think all the projects are connected to the GitHub. This assignment project is not connected with GitHub. You can see Java concept already I connected with GitHub, Open EMR connected, HRM connected, hybrid framework. School management is not connected to GitHub. Okay. Let me connect the school management to GitHub. So I'll use command prompt. If I want to use Eclipse, that will be simple. We have done it in multiple places. Team, create repository, those things I can do. Let me use Eclipse. Sorry, let me use command prompt and do it. First, what I need to do is I have to go to the project home directory and make sure you don't create a Git in the workspace and all. If you create Git in workspace, or every project will be using that parent Git repository only. So whenever you do a commit, it will update to the parent one only. So individually, you will have the local repository for each and every project. School management, I'll open this directory in command prompt. Let me open the directory in command prompt. What I've done is I wanted to create a local repository. I want to update the local repository. Then I have to push it to the remote. To push it to the remote, you will have to create the repository here. Let me create it. Management for Java books initially. Now public repository I'll create. I created a empty repository. Now here, if you see Git itself will give you the commands. These are all Git commands. If you go to GitHub, Git ACM under documentation, GitHub cheat sheet. If you open, let's open the PDF. Let me open the PDF. These are all Git commands. It first started from Linux, then it got adapted to multiple environments. You can see turn an existing directory into a Git repository. Git init will initialize the repository, and Git merge, checkout, all these things are there. So let me give you an idea about these things quickly. First, we'll try to push the code. This particular project, I'll try to push. For that, you can see Git init is the first command, which will initialize the local repository. Git init initialize the empty Git repository in the school management portal. You can see this is an empty repository, local repository I created. Next, what I need to do is I have to tell what are the files I need to track. Okay, for example, I can exactly mention git space add space the file name src slash that particular file name I can mention, or there's a file called .project. I can mention only that file needs to be tracked, and whenever we modify that file, only that file will be picked repeatedly. Now that is one by one file I can give. Otherwise, I can give dot. If I give git space add space dot, it will try to pick all the file in the current directory for tracking. Okay, like unstage to stage. What we are doing is unstage to stage. Now let me do dot, which means it will pick all the files in the current directory, school management. But it is just picking the file. If you do commit, then only it will update the local repository. For commit, this is the command git commit -m message, any message I can get. So let me do that git commit -m, any message I can give. If you are doing it for the first time, it will ask for credential. Let me do F1. You can see commit, which means local repository is up to date. Now I want to push it to the remote repository. So first time when if directly you cannot do git push. If you do git push, under which repository it needs to push, it will not have an idea. For that, what we need to do is we have to, let me copy this and keep it over here. Git commit -m first commit. It will update the local repository. You can also try this if you want. So these are the things. Till 3.3, it is a local repository. Now you can see the next branch I removed. By default, there will be one branch called master. I removed it. Let me run this command git remote. Git remote add origin. Right now, origin is like a variable name. Origin is not a command. Git remote add is the command. Git command. Git remote add. We are just giving origin, that URL I'm trying to give. Git remote add origin. Okay. Now here, instead of origin, I can give origin 1, origin 2, whatever it is, and it's like a variable name. We are registering the URL actually. We are registering the remote URL to local repository. Every time you can use that origin. Origin will be connecting to, basically origin will be holding the remote URL. So this is one time you need to run. Okay, let me run it. Now just it will load origin equal to that URL. That's it. Next I need to do git push under -u under origin. By default, there will be one branch. Okay, we created 2 branch while discussing in the hybrid framework. You can create a number of branches. You will have different phases of project. If you don't want to disturb the current phase, you can create one more branch and you can update it. Right default, there will be one branch called master. While running it, it might ask for the credential if you're doing it for the first time. Just provide the credential what I guided you, or log in with the browser. You can do that is one option. Otherwise, provide the username or mail ID and the personal access token ID you provide. So right now it got updated. Understood how to use this command prompt? Now, if I modify anything in this school management file, I just remove the space. If I modify it, I don't want to do git init. It's already there. Git add I need to do. Then I need to do commit. F2 I'll do. Now on commit is done. Okay. Now if I add a, I'll just change it. One more commit I'll do. Git add and commit here 3. So 2 commit I have done. Commit, whenever you do commit, it will update the local repository only, not here. Only one commit is there. So and when I completed with the do all the code, then I can do finally push. Or whenever you wanted to keep it safe, you can do the push. Now whatever the commits I have done, every commits will be tracked over here. Got an idea about this?
Yes.
Now let me do one thing. Here I'll add a README file. In the repository, I'm adding a README file. In repository, I'm adding a README file. Now, if you see when multiple people working in the repository, some people will be adding the code, some people will be removing the code, so you will be facing those conflicts, but everything will be tracked. Now, if I try to modify something and try to push it, let me try to change it to person 2, modify something, I'll try to do add, and then I'll try to do commit. Now I'll try to do push. Now, if I do push, it will reject. You can do force push. If you do post push, existing code will be deleted. Only your code will be there. If they are working on the same file. Now push is rejected because someone has already updated the getter. So opposite to push is there is something called good pull. When you do pull, first it will do fetch. There will be 2 commands. If you notice here, there will be a command called fetch, merge. Okay. So fetch, download all history from the remote tracking branches. From the remote, it will try to fetch all the detail. And when you do merge, it will try to merge the code with your project. Okay, if in the suppose here, if I do fetch right now, if I do git fetch right now, it will try to get the detail from the remote to local repository. That's it. It will get it from the remote to local repository. If you do merge, it will merge to your existing project. Okay, that is your fetch and merge, opposite to add and commit. Okay, now the concept for push, opposite to push exactly is nothing but pull. You can do from the remote, we are updating to local repository. From the remote, I'm updating to local repository. For that, I can do git pull. Got it? So git pull, if I do already, if you see here in this project, you don't have the README file. So, but we cannot run the push because it's not going to work. It will keep on getting rejected because there someone already modified the detail. First, you need to get those changes. So let me do git pull here. It will do fetch and merge. Now, if you see here in my project, you will be able to see README file. README file. Understood? Understood what is pull? Then git branch, if I do, it will show you all the branch available right now. Okay, there is only one branch, master. If you want to create a branch, you can give git branch. I'll give it as B1. Git branch B1. Okay. Now I created two branch. Now if I list the branch, there will be two branch. Whenever you do push, it will go for the master branch only, because you see the checkout branch right now is master. If you want to update it to B1, then you have to change the checkout branch. Okay. Let me try to modify some code over here, and this changes. New change, I wanted to reflect only in the branch B1, not in the master branch. Then what I can do is I can do git branch, git checkout B1 I can give. Now if you see git branch, if you see B1 will be highlighted, because whatever the detail you do hereafter, it will go to B1. Let me do commit, add everything, add, then I'll do a commit. I'll keep it as new one. Then I'll do a push. Can you? Now if you see here in the repository, in B1, you will be able to see new changes. In B1 only, it will be the new one. In the master branch, I'm not updating because I made the checkout branches B1. Okay, so you can keep different phase of a project without disturbing the actual phase of this project. It's clear for you till this?
Yes.
This is a basic concept of Git. Okay, now we have this project. Now I'll try to do something like in real time. What happens is whenever development code get changes, whenever the developed code get changes in the GitHub, we will try to trigger the automation regression, or to a specific time, or when you try to do a project automation for quite long, you will have some set of methods which you wanted to repeatedly check. Those things and all you can configure in the Jenkins pipeline so that it will keep on running repeatedly. To achieve that, we need to work on few things. Let me tell you. We already have a GitHub project. I'll use this GitHub project, Orange HRM. Whenever I modify this project Orange HRM, then I want to run the build. Okay. So Jenkins is the CI/CD pipeline which we will be discussing in the session. Jenkins, in real time, you will get the server. You will just get the URL. You will go to the Jenkins URL in real time. Okay. For example, you can see Jenkins automation server. Jenkins provides hundreds of plugins to support, build, deploy. In real time, what happens is there will be a dedicated server, or there will be a dedicated instance available, cloud instance, where Jenkins will be always running. For learning purpose, I don't have any Jenkins running in the cloud. If I have a Jenkins running in the cloud, I'll just go to that URL, log into that URL, and then add my project. Right now, I don't have a dedicated server running, or someone gave you a server and they ask you to set up the Jenkins in that. Okay, you should be able to do it. For that, I'm going to explain it from the scratch. So first, what we need to do is first I need to download this WAR file. In order to run the Jenkins in real time, you'll have a in real time DevOps team will take care of it, setting up the Jenkins. Otherwise, QA team will also be doing it in some time. Real time, you have to go to Jenkins URL and log in real time. Now, run the Jenkins locally. You can do this. run the war file. This is the steps to run the Jenkins. Just give me a minute. Yeah, to run the Jenkins, you can download the war file. There will be a war file like this. You can latest stable war file. In real time also, you have to do the same thing. If you want to set up the Jenkins in particular machine, if you go to this, you will have war file, war file. In the war file, what you need to do is, you already have it. It will take some time to download. You have to download the war file. In the server machine, or if you are setting up in any instance, you have to download this war file. After downloading this war file, you have to run this using the command java-jar. That war file you need to call. Okay, so already we have the Java in this machine, so we can trigger it using the Java. Let me go to D drive software. Let me open the command prompt in this directory. Java-jar Jenkins.war file. If you want to change any hyphen, HTTPS port, HTTP port you can give in case if you want to change the port. Otherwise, it will run it in 8080 port. You can see here. Hyphen HTTP port in case if you want to change the port. Otherwise, mostly you will leave it as it is. In case if you want to change, you can change it. If the 8080 is already blocked, let me run this. This will try to, right now you see here, localhost 8080, nothing will be there. Now, you can see it says site can't be reached. Right now, I triggered the Jenkins. If I trigger the Jenkins will be running in the server. So once I host this, everyone can access this URL. As of now, it is running in my local machine. So only I can access it. Now let me do one thing. Whenever there is a change in the GitHub, I'll try to run the Jenkins. Whenever there is a change in the GitHub, we'll configure in that way. Whenever change in GitHub, will trigger the Jenkins. Will trigger the project. Trigger or will build the project. We call it as trigger or build. Build in the sense executing the project. Okay. First, what you need to do is you have to log into Jenkins. Let me do that. Already have the username and password. I'll log in. I just log in into the Jenkins. Okay. So after you log in into the Jenkins, you will be able to see all the projects here. Right now, no project is configured here. It's an empty Jenkins right now. So first thing, I have to click on new item. After clicking on new item, I can give the project name, any item name, configure the project, click on new item, and give item name, and you can create a simple freestyle project. So item name, I can give it as a hybrid framework. Freestyle project is what I'm creating, and click on OK. Initially, when you run it for the first time, are you planning to start the Jenkins in your local right now? If you want to start the Jenkins in local, you can download this file. Initially, few setups it will ask, like go to a particular directory, copy the key and paste it. Those things will be asked. You can try to follow the steps given in that screen itself. Localhost 8080, you will be getting this. Okay. So I created the project. So till this, it's clear for you what I'm doing. See, when it comes to real time, the DevOps team or IT team will be configuring this Jenkins. They will configure the Jenkins and give you the URL directly. You have to go to the
Yes.
Jenkins URL, login, then you have to create the project. Every project you have to create it one by one. So I just created a project. This is from this step only you'll be doing these steps. I created a project. Now description, if you want, you can give. And if you scroll down a bit, you can see source code management. Description you can give. And then second option is source code management and build trigger, build environment, build post build actions. General description you can give. If you want to give GitHub project, you can give the project detail. Let me directly go for source code management. Source code management is Git. Let me choose that. And repository URL I need to give for this particular application. This is the repository. Let me give that here, repository. And then branch name you need to give. No credential. Branch name I need to give. Right now, no page of master is the branch. You can leave it as it is. If it is main branch, you have to give main or any other branch name. I'm just configuring master. URL. Okay. Fill the source code management. Git. In case if it is Git, with Git you mention. Otherwise, you can give the local directory directly. And you can see the branch detail I've given. Master. Then below that, build triggers will be there. Okay. Build trigger after configuring source code management. Now, if you want to run periodically every 2 a.m. or every 3 a.m. if you want to run, you can mention use build periodically. And poll ACM is what I'm going to configure. My duty over here is whenever change in the GitHub, I want to run the build for the poll ACM, poll source code management. Whenever there's a change in the GitHub, immediately the build will happen. Okay. When to trigger the build detail is what you need to do. See, this has some set of rules. Poll ACM basically it has some set of rules. You can see here minutes, hours, DOM, month, day of week. So these are the things you have to configure basically. Let me quickly give you an idea about it. H by 2 star 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 star. If I do this, every 2 minutes it will check for you can see 327 and 329. Every 2 minutes it will check the GitHub. Every 2 minutes it will check the GitHub. Until the server is running, every 2 minutes it will check the GitHub. If there is a change, immediately it will download it will clone the GitHub project and it will start running the build. Okay, every 2 minutes. If I give H by 15, every 15 minutes it will check the GitHub. 320, 335. Okay. Let me check for every 2 minutes. Whenever there's a change in the build, I want it to trigger. Every 2 minutes it will check the build right now. H by 2 star star star. Okay. Selenium. Build triggers. After getting the updated project from GitHub, whenever there's a change, it will get the project. After getting the updated project from GitHub, build environment. Okay, this is something which you need to configure. Not build environment. Build environment, you can leave it as it is. Directly, we can go for build. Okay. Under build, you will have an option. Okay, initially when you start the Jenkins, it will ask for install plugin. Just install the plugin related to Maven. It will give you suggested plugin. Just install that. You will get this option. Invoke top level Maven commands. Okay. Now we are in the project directory. In project directory, what are the goals we have seen to run the Maven project? Those goals you can give. We trigger the Maven project, right? So from the command prompt, those goals is what you can give it right now. Clean compile test package and all goal I explained. No, we use clean compile test for most of the scenario. That goal is what you can give it over here. Clean compile after getting the project. What is the command you need to run in compile test. After post build, if you want to generate send an email notification, you have to configure it, or if you want to publish it anywhere, you have to configure and publish only. So right now I'm just leaving as it is. I just gave the build as invoke Maven project, Maven target. The build invoke top level Maven target. Provide polls. This is done. Then save it. After saving it, your project, I have given the, you can see in Jenkins, there's a workspace which is empty right now. We have given poll CMS 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes, it will check for the GitHub. This is the first time, so it will automatically run. It will automatically get the project from GitHub and try to download the project in that server, wherever your server is running. It will download the project and it will start the build. If you see, automatically the build will start right now. In every 2 minutes, it will check. This is the first time, so Jenkins will not have a copy of a project to compare, so it will download it.
You are not audible, Paul.
Yeah, it's waiting for the execution to happen. Just automatically the build should start based on our configuration. Just waiting for the build to start. We'll wait for another 1 minute and then we'll check. I'm not speaking it. Yeah, you can see here it started the build. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, now you can see the build started, and let me go to the click on that build console output. If all configuration are correct, it will start doing the operation. You can see uses git command only. Okay, for it will clone the project actually. We are doing this downloads it, right? Git command, git repo, clone. If you copy paste this in command line, it will basically download the git project, this git project. Okay. Your Jenkins will run that particular command. If you see the git Jenkins console, git clone will happen here. Check out git command switch check out. Yeah, just getting the project right now. Wherever you're running the server, in that server, the project will get download from the GitHub. Now, whatever the command we give, based on that, it will start executing. Right now, I've given it as msh driver. And what file is configured here under pom.xml for this project. Under pom.xml, I included this TestNG XML. In this TestNG XML, I mentioned Edge, login UI test Edge. It will try to trigger this particular test method. Both the test method it will try to trigger, and you can see right now 3 test method run. So I think 2 rows were there. So it ran 3 times. 3 test method is there, so it ran 3 test method on all are passed. Understood? Let me show
Yes.
you the. Okay. Now let me do one thing. I'll try to modify this code. I'll try to change the code here. I'll change it to ch. Save it. Now I'll try to push this in commit f of ch and then commit and push. Now if you see I just push the code into the GitHub. Done. The code is updated to GitHub. Now GitHub will have a change right now. 17 seconds. Automatically Jenkins, what it does is all the projects will be listed here. Jenkins will be used by multiple team. So their project, all the projects will be displayed here. And whichever the project you want to check, you can get into that. And you can see already there was one build which happened earlier. Now there is a change. You can see this workspace. This is the old project which got downloaded from the GitHub. Jenkins will also maintain a copy. Now it will compare this project and GitHub project every 2 minutes. It will compare until the server is running. Every 2 minutes it will compare. And if there is a change in the project, then it will download the new copy of a project from GitHub and start the build with the command what we have provided. So all will be maintained in that server machine. In server machine under C drive, under the current username, .jenkins will be there. Under that only it will maintain the entire projects. All plugins, everything will be maintained here. So the build should happen in 2 minutes, another 2 minutes. You can see the build started. Right now it got executed with Chrome. Understood? And I mostly when it comes to Jenkins, if you notice it, it's running in way. If you want to run a build again, you can click on build now. This option. It will run the build again. If you see here, it's actually running it in the Chrome browser. In the server and all, when it is running in the server, we don't launch the browser in front. Basically, you can see here we give clean compile and then test, right? So it will try to do that activity. It will clean the existing files, compile all the files together, then it will start doing. Right now you see the Chrome browser will be launched. Okay. Did we discuss on headless mode? running the browser in headless mode.
Yes, I think already discussed.
So those configurations and all will be added. Firefox option headless mode. No. So let me like this way we should not run it actually. The reason why we should not run it actually in this way is most of the browsers will be triggered in the background. So basically, in Jenkins, it's not related to one particular project or anything. Multiple projects will be multiple project team will be using this one Jenkins. So their project should not disturb your executions and all. So what we do is we'll mostly try to run it in the headless mode. To run it in the headless mode, you can keep that record over here. That also you can control it from parameter headless true or false. You can give here. I can give something like headless true or false. We can give. So right now you can see headless or yes no. I can give if headless is true, then I want to run it in the headless mode. Otherwise, I don't want to run it in the headless mode. For that parameter tag, you can give it in the suite level as well as test tag level. I've given the headless. Now I can go over here and everything is configured in the wrap only. Here, I can update the script, comma, headless. Okay. And third argument, first argument is browser, second argument is URL, third argument is headless. So I can give comma string headless. Now the rate optional. By default, you can give it as no. Going over here, I can here we are launching the browser. I can just write a simple if condition here inside this. If headless dot equal ignore case. If it is yes, then I wanted to launch in the headless mode. Otherwise, I don't want to launch in the headless mode. So here I will be creating an object of Chrome options. Chrome options opt equal to new Chrome options. Whatever the settings you want to do, you can do it, and you can send that option here. Here I can do options dot add argument. Add arguments. I can give hyphen headless. Same thing I have to update it for other options also. Here also Firefox options will be there and Edge options will be there. Okay. The script I need to add it in this if condition also. Got an idea about this? Now I will try to push it to the GitHub. I'm sending the headless mode as yes, so it should run it in the headless mode. Now commit and push I'll do. Now I modified the GitHub right now. Again, I did the one commit. Whenever there's change in the development or whenever there's a change in the GitHub, we will try to configure the Jenkins to run the build. Now it should run it in the headless mode. The fourth build, it should run it in the headless mode. Right now it will run it in the headless mode. Okay. Configuration is not happening. Let me check on that. Headless. Did I give it properly? So I've given it as true false actually. Checking it for SR mode. So by default, let it be false. And if it is true, I want to run the headless mode. So got an idea about this Jenkins configuration. So this is how end-to-end project will be maintained.
Yes.
And right now it should run it in the headless mode. It's running. Let it run. So most of the important, all the important details are covered in the session. Okay. So Jenkins, if you want to set up in your local environment, let me know. I'll quickly set it up and give it to you. So right now, Jenkins actually we will not run it in the local environment. We'll try to run it in the server machine or some instance you'll be creating. There you have to configure this Jenkins, okay, which will be running always. And I will be keep on adding all the projects into this Jenkins, C# project, Java project, not only Java, you can add C#, Python, any project in C# and all, they have a MS build. In Python, it will be running using the Python commands. Here we will use Maven project to control. Okay, Maven commands also we have discussed. So any doubts till now? It's fine, right? Whatever we have done till now.
Yes.
So let me know if you have any doubts on the topic what we discussed. To let me stop. Jenkins, any other doubts you have? And in Jenkins, under Manage Jenkins, a few configuration you need to do that you can make a note of it. Actually, it was already configured in my case. You can see under configure system. It will ask for few details like JDK path, Maven path and all under configure and the global tool configuration. It's loading. Mail configuration I need to do here, and global tool configuration will be there, where you have to configure the path. You can see JDK path, it's already added in this system. It's already there in the environment path variable Java underscore home. It will take from there. If it is not taking from there, you can also add it by giving the path. Okay, by default it will be taking, in my case the JDK is already done. Now git also, during the installation itself, git will also be added into your environment path variable. If it is not adding, you have to give the git path. See, this is the path of the Git drive, program files, git command. This is the git exe file. If it is not identifying in your case, you need to add this path under global tool configurations. Anyhow, I added in the system level itself, so it will be available over here. Same for Maven also. Maven underscore home already we added. If it is not added, you have to give the path, and then you have to give the version, and then you can give the directory also from where it needs to download. Okay, these are all which have done it at the system level, so it will be taking it from the system level. This global tool configuration is something which you have to add it, okay, in real time. Otherwise, in the system level, we configured everything under environment variable, so that it will be accessible for any software which is trying to use this Android underscore home, Maven underscore home, and git exe file under this folder, Maven exe file, MVN also, it's accessible at any folder level. So these will be added. If you are not adding it here under global tool configuration, you need to add it. Environment setup is important for Git, for Jenkins. That's all about the session topic. If you have any notes, we can discuss that. Till where you were able to practice in this?
Currently, I'm practicing OOPS concepts.
Oops. Okay. What about the framework and all? You're able to start with this?
Yeah, I tried the hybrid framework,
Okay.
but again, I'm practicing the OOPS, and then again, I will try hybrid and Bdd Framework.
Okay. So fine. See, oops concept, which one you are practicing, like inheritance and all, inheritance, abstract class, those things. Any doubts with that?
No, not yet.
Okay. Just make sure one object creation is clear for you. When you create one object, then it will be easy. When you create object for child, it will allocate memory for parent. All the non-static detail will be loaded. Same thing will be applicable for child also.
Can
In
you
one
please
memory,
explain me interface once again?
For example, first we need to know why we need to go for interface. Let me share a few documents. I'll share this. Let me stop the recording. Create a new package. com.nsc.employee db. I'll create. Now inside this package, I'm going to create a. Assume that we are trying to work on employee portal. So I'm going to create employee details. We already know employee details. I wanted to design a employee for contract, like contract employee details. I wanted to maintain. and then I wanted to maintain something called permanent employee. Okay, so basically, I want to create a class which calculates salary for contract employee, which calculates salary for permanent employee. One simple employee class I need to create. Okay. Now to create this without oops concept, I can like without implementing abstract and all, I can do it. I can do this employee, and I can create the employee ID name and all, public int emp ID, public string emp name, which I can create it. Okay. Now methods I will be creating public string get name, employee name. Okay, employee name. I will try to send the EMP ID. As in that I'm sending the EMP ID and getting the method. Like this, I'll be having lots of methods, right? So this method will return the employee ID. So returning some employee ID, as in that I'm returning null, right? So like this, all the methods will be there. Getting the passing employee ID, getting the employee name, employee the like other details like employee project code, those things and all. There will be lots of methods. Now, when it comes to, if you see this contract employee, permanent employee, they will have employee number. They will be working in a project. Project code will be common only. But only thing is, one or two things will be valid. The main thing will be salary calculation. Whereas for contract employee, salary calculation will be based on per hour. Whereas permanent employee, it will be like per 30 days. Okay, that's how it will be calculated. Now, I wanted to create a logic here. Public void calculate salary. Now, there will be two kind of employee. First, you need to understand whether based on the employee ID you are sending it, as in that I'm calculating the salary based on the employee ID. Okay, or let me just leave it as it is. Based on the current object, I'll be giving the name. Let me return EMP name itself. Get name I'll give. Let me keep this salary. Okay, calculate salary. Now, while calculating salary, first I need to understand whether the current employee is a permanent employee or contract employee. Then based on that, salary needs to be calculated. So here I will be having a record saying that public. Let me keep all these as private, 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 string, EMP. If I wanted to give the EMP type if here, if EMP type, EMP type dot equals I'll just keep it as a permanent contract type. Okay, these two logic only I wanted to create. Okay. If it is P, I wanted to do the logic 30 into the salary and the bonus, all these things will be calculated. Which I can calculate something like a per hour basis, 8 into like per hour, something like 8 into 500 something. Okay, so per hour it will be calculated, and for this will be calculated per day. Now, if you see here, I can create the entire logic within the class, which can be easily done. But when it comes to maintenance, assume that I wanted to modify few logics for contract employee. Now, where we need to disturb that in case if I want to do the modification for the contract employee, I have to come and touch this particular class. When I touch this class, it will also disturb the permanent employee, right? It will also disturb the permanent employee. Or even
Yes.
for any small changes in the contract employee or permanent employee, if I disturb this, the whole system will be affected, right? Now, what we need to do is we try to segregate things uniquely. For example, initially I told you a class should have only one reason to change. So what both are employee, but both have some set of common capabilities, but some set of different capabilities, right? So those common capabilities will keep it in the parent class. Whatever is different for them, I'll be keeping it in a separate class. So instead of doing this, I will not give the logic for this here. I will not give the logic for this calculate salary. And there will be other methods. Get employee name will be there. Get employee project code will be there. Those methods will be there. Okay. Rest of the methods I don't create it here. I'll just make this method as abstract. I'll make this method as abstract. So when the method is abstract, you have to make the class as abstract. The concept of abstraction is to hide the unwanted details. You can see here. It is used when you want to declare all characteristics from one class. When you don't have definition for a method, we can make that method as abstract. Even one method is abstract, you have to make the class as abstract. Abstract class cannot be instantiated. You cannot create an object for this class. And constructor can be created for abstract class, that I do. Abstract class can have a method with definition and without definition. You can see this method, this is your definition, with definition and without definition. The concrete subclass that extends abstract class must implement all abstract methods. So right now, we will have some set of common capabilities like getting the employee name, getting the project name. Those are all some common capabilities which I'll be keeping it in the parent class. But a few capabilities will be different. For example, permanent employee is also an employee only. He or she is also an employee only. The permanent employee will have to use some feature from the parent class. Permanent employee, can use extends employee. Now what will happen is, see, there's a parent class is an abstract class. It's an abstract class and it has an abstract method. Now it will force the child class. This is your child. It will for it the child. When I create an object for child, memory will be allocated for parent. Then it will allocate for child. Now we have to override the method for sure. You can see here child class is throwing error because calculate salary in the parent class is abstract. The parent tells that it doesn't know the definition. So child class needs to give the definition. Whenever you see a method with abstract, if you're extending that class, then you have to give the definition. Add an implemented method. Got an idea? So now here what I can do is I can write my own definition. Okay. System.out.println. The definition would be something like a permanent employee 30 into 2000. I'll give some calculation. I'll be giving like base pay, all these things I'll be recording and then I'll be doing it. Okay. Now here I'll be giving a double private double. For you there will be PF and all, right? So PF something like 12%. 0.12 like that and all. I'll be doing it. Okay, got it. So calculation of salary. Other component also will be there. That will be specific to permanent employee. That I'll keep it over here. Now this is one class. Now if you see around more class will be there or different employee types. Contract employee. So most of the feature will be taken from the parent class. Employee name, allocating the employee ID, all these things will be taken from parent class. But you can see it will throw error until we give the definition for the abstract method. It will throw error. Otherwise, we have to make this class also abstract. If you make this class as abstract, you cannot create an object for this class. Got it? That's the concept here. I'm going to make this as an abstract. Let me give the definition. Calculating the salary for this working hour will be there. Double working hour. Let me keep it as 20 hours only. So total working hour. Hour cost I'll keep 900. And he needs to work 8 into 30 into hour cost. Okay, that's the salary calculation. Now you see, I created this logic. Clear for you what I did over here? I just added everything in one class. You can create a different classes. You can create a class called permanent employee. and you can keep this inside that particular class. And I can create one more class, contract employee. I can keep this particular code inside that particular class. Okay.
Yes.
Now let me, where is now I'll just create one more class, an employee test. I'll create, and let me create a main method. Now you can see we are protecting the people to create an object for employee class. You cannot create an object for employee class because employee class is not a concrete class, it's an abstract class. You cannot create an object for employee class. It will throw error. You can see it will throw the error saying that cannot be resolved as a type. Employee class, an abstract class, you cannot create an object. Okay, but we can use the employee class for creating an object for child. Like we can create an object for child and store it in the employee. I'm creating an object for child and then I'm trying to store it in the parent. Let me do one thing. I'll create one constructor here, public employee constructor, system.out.println employee constructor. Let me create a constructor in these classes also. Constructor will be called an object creation, so you will get an idea about this. Now, when I create an object for child, first memory will be allocated for parent, then it will go for the child. You can see here. I'm just creating an object for permanent employee. During the runtime, object will be created for permanent employee. You can see first parent element are getting loaded. Employee ID, employee name, and then employee type is getting loaded. Now, then the child class elements are getting loaded. Under one object, you will be able to see all the records will be available, right? So you can see here, object is created for permanent employee. Now, if I try to do this activity, calculate salary, now overridden method will be called. During the runtime, it will think the method is coming from the employee class. But employee class is not having any method definition, right? There is no definition for it. But during the runtime, based on the object you create, now you can see during the runtime, based on the object you create, method will be called. Got it? Permanent employee. Now, in this case, you can use abstract class and make the code much more stable. And suppose if you are implementing a new type of employee in your company, you just want to reuse few set of code from the employee. So for example, I'm implementing some new type of employee, okay, something like type 3 employee. Then what I can do is I can create a class type 3 employee, extends employee. Then once I extend it, immediately it will force me to something like a type 3 employee I'm trying to create. And once I create the class, I will try to extend. I wanted to use few feature from the parent class. So I'll implement the parent class. Now, once I implement, immediately it will throw error, ask me to implement the calculate salary. That's the step. That's a method you have to for sure override it. Otherwise, you don't have a permission to extend this. You have to make this class also abstract. Okay. Now, this is an abstraction concept. You can see the main details will be hidden over here. Calculate salary, it shows it's from employee, but actual detail comes from the overridden. And right now I'm going to create an object for contract employee. When you have some methods with the definition, same variable name I can use, same employee type I can use and achieve the same thing. You can see first object getting called, next permanent employee object calculating the salary, takes from the calculate salary from permanent employee. Now contract employee I'm getting called. Again, it will go to the parent constructor, then it will load the child constructor. Now E will be holding all the contract type details, employee details. Now calculate salary, it quickly picks from the overridden method. Okay, so got an idea about this, when to go with abstract. This is your abstract concept. Okay, to provide some set of rules. Now, in this case, I can go for abstract instead of going with interface. In this case, I can go for abstract. Concept of abstraction is same only. This is the concept of abstraction. Shows as only essential attributes and hides unnecessary information. Okay.
Yes, got it.
Now, when to go with abstraction, when to go with interface is what you need to understand. For example, if you see here, here I know some detail about employee. Some details are going to be common between the employee, right? Some details are going to be common between the permanent employees, like contract employees. So I can keep this as a common detail for both the classes. So I go for, I need some feature to be available for both the classes. So in that case, we can go for class and make that as an abstract. One or two methods only, I don't have a definition. I have some set of method with definition, some method without definition. In that case, you can go for abstract. Okay, when you don't have any idea about the definition, for example, I wanted to real-time scenarios browser only, I wanted to do automation with Chrome, Firefox, Edge. Now without knowing the browser, we will not be able to give the definition, right? For click
Yes.
operation or for type operation, only if you know browser, based on the browser you can write the logic for click, the logic for click in Firefox, the logic for click in Chrome, the way it executes might be, the way it looks might be same, but the way it runs in the background, the code will be different, interacting with the Chrome, interacting with the Firefox. Now logic we will not know. For any method, I will not have any logic, but I wanted to make sure whatever the code I use it in Chrome, it should be in Firefox. Whatever I use it in Firefox, that should be available in Microsoft Edge. Then what I can do is I can create a pure set of rules, that is interface. In interface, what we will do is we will try to create a set of rules. Let me show you the interface. I'll just create a package here. com.nsc.selenium I create. Inside this package, I'll create an interface. I create an interface, WebDriver demo. This is an interface. Now, interface will have only abstract methods. Every method in interface is but nothing but public. See this document over here. Interface are used to establish set of rules, define standard. A few rules are for defining the interface. Method declare in the interface are always public and abstract. Whether you declare or not, it is public and abstract. Data member declared in the interface are always public, static, final. Okay, I'll tell you what is final. A class can implement multiple interface. Basically, multiple inheritance is done. Interface can extend more than one interface, cannot instantiate the interface. Object, you cannot create it for abstract class interface because both will have some abstract method. Okay. Here, whatever the method you create, all will be public and abstract always. Whether you give it or not, it will be public and abstract. Void quit. Okay, and we will give web element and all. For example, method like a string get title. Only they will be designing the set of rules. Only they will defining the set of rules. You can see here. under Java, SRC, Forge, OpenFA, Selenium, Chrome driver. Let me go to the interface, WebDriver interface. JavaScript, Python. I know the directory. I'll just go to that interface. Selenium. WebDriver. It's an interface. You can see here. Okay, you can see public interface WebDriver. That is actually extending search contacts. That's different. So over here, interface. Okay, here you see only method declaration will be there. String get title, list of web element, find element. Only declaration will be there. Understood? Now set of rules they will be trying to design here. I want these are methods to be available in all the browser class. Okay. Now set of rules you will be doing. All the methods are public and abstract here. Got it? Now it will have only abstract method. When you don't have any logic for definition inside method, you can purely create the interface. And most of the things in Selenium, you see lots of interface, not only a WebDriver interface. For example, WebDriver, a JavaScript interface will be there. Take screenshot interface. You can check on all these interface. Take screenshot, WebDriver interface, JavaScript executor interface, and select also will be trying to implement the interface. Under support, OpenQA, Selenium, under support you can see select class which we are using actually. That select class will also have some interface. You can see here what are the methods I want. They have given it in this interface. I select interface. Got it? So this interface will be there, just whatever the method they want. For example, in order to work with dropdown, I should be able to see a get first selected option. I should be able to use this method, visible text, visible index, select by value, deselect all. These set of methods I want. So the select class will be implementing that interface. Once they implement the interface, they have to give the definition. The definition, you can see the definitions here. Understood? Now I created a set of interface. I can create a number of interface. Public interface. I wanted to create an interface called take screenshot. I want some browser will not support screenshot. Some browser will support screenshot. So I don't want to dump. These are all WebDriver activity. Activity they give it in mandatory part, which they give it in WebDriver demo. Take screenshot demo. In that I will be creating void get screenshot. Screenshot method. Yes, I'm creating one method. Two interface I have. Now you'll have lots of interface here. I'll have to create a different class, different interface. The reason why it is throwing error here is only one public can be there. If I remove public, it will support. But anyhow, it's fine. I'll create it in a different file. Okay, I created one interface here. Now the browser class like Chrome driver, demo, and browser class. I want to give support for two browser. Assume that I Firefox driver demo or new browser coming into the market. You want to give a support for that particular browser. What you need to do is just you have to try to implement all these code over here. Driver demo, screenshot demo. It will throw error. Add an implemented method. You have to sit and give the definition inside this. Get title, quit, close, get screenshot. Now, while creating an object, you can store it in any of the parent. During the runtime, based on the object you create, the definition will be called. Here also, I'll be implementing WebDriver demo. The definition will be taken based on the object you create. Okay. If object is created for Firefox, definition will be taken from this logic. If object is created for Chrome, definition will be taken from this particular logic. That's the concept of interface. Okay. Now, by default, it will do overriding. Overridden, mandatorily, it will happen when it comes to abstract and interface. Let me browser test and show you. And if you see abstract class, you can give in abstract class, you can give constructor. When you create an object for child, it was connecting to the parent constructor, but you cannot create an object for constructor like employee class. But when you create for child, it was running the constructor. That was clear, right? That's why we mentioned here as extending feature, like permanent employee and all. We are extending the feature. Whereas in interface, if you see the terminology, what we use in interfaces, implement. We are just implementing the method given in the interface. Understood? Difference between extend and implement. So right now, if you see some, I'll just create an object. See, WebDriver, do cross-browser testing. I can do this new WebDriver demo is not possible. It will throw error. So what I can do over here is I can create an object for child. Now you see object is created for child. Now when I do try.close, get all these method, it will show. It will think that it's coming from during the compile time. By generation, it will think the method are coming from WebDriver. But WebDriver is not going to have the method. Based on the object you create during the runtime, first object are created for child only. So memory will be allocated for parent, then it will come to the child. The object of child, you can store it in the parent. While storing into the parent, it will show only the parent method while writing. So it will think the methods are coming from parent, WebDriver demo.
So these methods are defined in Chrome driver demo class, right?
See, while writing it, it will think the methods are coming from WebDriver demo only. You see, take screenshot is not going to come. Get screenshot is not going to come, right? Get screenshot method is there in Chrome driver, right? If you see get screenshot, this method is there in Chrome driver, right? In Chrome driver, it's there, get screenshot method. But when I do d dot, I won't get that method. Okay, because based on the left-hand side only, it will list all the method. Listing it. Based on the left-hand side only, it will list all the method. All these method, it will show it's coming from WebDriver demo. Now, during the runtime, first memory will be allocated for parent. Then it will try to allocate for child. While allocating for child, already existing method like these methods will be overwritten by the child object. Okay. And the overwritten method will be called. Now, while showing, it will show it's coming from WebDriver demo, but while running it, it will take it the definition from the object you create. Understood?
Yes.
You can see get method, get title, and get quit method. You can see it. Now, if I change it to just for doing a cross-browser testing, what I can do is d equal to new Firefox driver demo. Same variable I can use it. That's the advantage. That's why we can write a simple if condition to do it. If I store it in Chrome driver, I cannot do this. I have to every time declare a new type, which will be quite difficult. So we store it in the common layer. This is the main code and all will be present in this interface. We want the user to use only this code. We want the user to use only this code. There will be similar code will be there, additional codes which we don't want the user to use that. We will try to put this restriction by storing it in the parent. Now, if you see here, objects are created for here. Object is created for Firefox. It will show it is coming from WebDriver, but during the runtime, it will take the definition from Firefox. They can give their own definition. By using the interface, you can see we can easily do the cross-browser testing, lots of additional logics you can do. At the same time, whatever we require, that is given to us. Like logic will be different for all the browsers, which will be different. Okay. Tomorrow, assume that there is a new browser coming into the market. Selenium team wants to support that browser. Okay, assume that X browser is coming into the market. Selenium team wants to support that browser. What they will not think about what are the methods required to be implemented. What they will do, they will implement the interface. Okay, whatever the interface they have written, they will return a set of rule. No, that set of rule they will implement. Once implement, it will give you compile error itself. It will not allow the project to compile. You have to give unimplemented method. Now they have to sit and write the definition. If any definition goes wrong, they have to just update the definition. Understood? They will come to know what are the definition required. This will give you a set of rules only. Okay. Now, I want to call get screenshot method. To call get screenshot method, I can do this. I can do this. If you see here, Chrome driver is having get screenshot method, but you can see I call get screenshot. Now it will think the method object based on the left hand side only. It will show the method. So for sure, Chrome driver is having these methods, so it's coming properly. Got it? Get screenshot is coming, but ultimately what we are doing is we are storing it in the parent class. Now it will get a confused. WebDriver is not having this method. Why are you calling it? Okay. Now what I can do is I can do this. I can temporarily do this Chrome driver demo x equal to b. A new Chrome driver, we can store it in Chrome driver, right? This object I can store it here, right? So it's a possible. So I can do casting here. Now during the runtime, I can use that x and then call the get screenshot. Now if you see here, now it will come to this close, quit, all these things. Now it will come over here. Object like new D is actually well, compile time it is a WebDriver only, but during the runtime only it will have the object of Chrome driver. That Chrome driver object can be pointed by this Chrome driver demo x also, because that's the object we are creating. Now object is like right now x is holding new Chrome driver, that browser. X dot get screenshot, it will take the definition from here. Got it? Now the problem here is like this is clear for you. I was able to call the get screenshot. I want to do cross-browser testing. Let me do this. Firefox driver demo. Now you just think about this. Is it possible to store new Firefox driver demo in Chrome driver?
No.
No, right? So there is no relationship between Firefox and Chrome. Only Firefox and WebDriver has the relationship. Now during the runtime, if you see, we'll get into trouble during the runtime. It will throw the cast exception. Why are you storing a new Firefox into Chrome driver? Cannot point the object of Firefox. There is no relationship. That is the reason why we are doing a typecasting to the parent one. See, Firefox is also having a parent take screenshot. Chrome is also having a parent take screenshot. That's the main reason why we are typecasting it to take screenshot itself during the runtime. Take screenshot demo. That is the main reason. Now, if you see here, the new Firefox driver can be stored in take screenshot because it's a parent. New Chrome driver can be stored in take screenshot because it is a parent. It will think the method is coming from take screenshot only. Right click open declaration. It will think the method is coming from take screenshot only. But based on the object you create, the definition will be taken. Okay, here also it will think the method is coming from WebDriver. That's why we are typecasting it to a common parent. Got it?
Yes.
So that's the interface concept. So same thing, you can design it and check it, and you can start with framework. This knowledge is enough. You can just go through Geeks for understanding more on interface and then abstract class. And there is something called final. For example, if you don't want to override any of the method, I don't want to override some method. In that case, what I can do is in the doctor class, I have a treatment method. Assume that I don't want to provide access to the child class to override it. Okay, then what I can do is you can mention final. So once you mention final, no, the child class cannot override it. Interface cannot have that because interface will not have any definition. Understood? Final. No child class can override that.
Yes.
That's your final keyword. And if you give a final to the class, no one can inherit this class. If you don't want anyone to inherit the class, you can make it as final. We don't use that much in automation. Just for explanation, you should be able to provide this OOPS concept. And in framework, it will be useful. Understand the framework in better way, it will be useful. Okay. So clear with this concept?
Yes.
Yeah, you can go through all these things and let me know if you have any doubts. Okay, you can WhatsApp me in case of any doubts.
Sure.
I'll update all these things in the GitHub. So that's all for the session. Like whatever we planned, we have completed everything.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll share the feedback link. Just provide those feedback also. Let me share the link. And you can inform others also. Just ask them to go through the videos in case if they have any doubts, so they can drop me a mail.
Yes. Please share this study material now. Absolutely.
Which one?
Whatever is not shared.
All the details I'll upload it in the drive link.
Yeah.
The slides, everything I'll upload it in the drive link session notes. By tomorrow morning, I'll update everything. Okay. Right now, you can just take the link from the chat window. In that, you can provide the feedback.
Yes.
Fine then. So that's all about the topic. I think everything is done. In case if anything is not done, I'll inform you in the WhatsApp, and that video I'll ask them to upload.
Okay.
Yeah. See you then. All the best. Try to practice it. Okay. Practice for 2-3 weeks. You will be getting the flow. Okay.
Balaji.
Yeah.
Please help me in searching job in automation.